Hey everybody, welcome back to Battle Ready Inc. So today's deck profile, we're covering Sakuyamon for EX2. Now, I have been holding off wanting to play this deck until Miko mode comes out, but that's a few sets away, so I want to go ahead and crack at this deck, and oh my god, this deck it blew me away at like how powerful and just how crazy like control, bore or destruction of the security, just all the crazy stuff you can do with this for the most memory efficient deck I think I've ever played. And like green is super memory efficient, but the way this deck operates is just utterly insane. It's so consistent. There's so much draw power here, and like the draw power with just the memory efficiency of the whole thing, like this feels almost unfair. Like I put this like kind of low on my like decks of EX2, but after playing it a whole bunch, I might have to change my opinion of this deck. Don't forget our new memory marker of technically new of June. We'll get our July one out here soon. Just having to film this ahead of time for the holidays. But this is Narrowmon. If you're playing a yellow deck, this is actually pretty great. We also have a Viximon as well. If you are playing this deck, this is a pretty great memory marker for this deck, honestly. You can find this on our Etsy page, link in the description below. Also, there's all of our previous memory markers, like all of our other Tamers specific memory markers are all on there. You can go ahead and check those out. Alright, so I got the whole deck for you pulled up here so you can see everything and kind of the overall strategy that we're working with. There's a couple choices in here that might not be considered the normal or something like that, but I feel like they're so powerful that I kind of just wanted to shoehorn them in here. Rapidmon being one of them, which we will get to in a moment. So first up, we have the new Viximon from EX2, and this is your turn once per turn when you use an option card with a memory cost of 2 or more, draw one. So it's all about, you have all these 2 play cost options down here. You can see them on the screen there. You get to use those for free using your Tamer ability. So every time you get to play these for free, you then trigger your Viximon here to then draw you a card. So that's just like step 1 of our long line of huge consistency boosting cards. I really like it. Yeah, I've only got the 4 eggs in here, but I feel like those 4 just work so perfectly with the deck. I really don't want to see anything else. And this deck isn't really designed for a big longevity of a game of controlling and taking forever. This is a little bit more fast-paced yellow deck than what we're used to seeing. So I don't really feel the need as much for a 5th egg in here, at least not currently in the current build. Now for our first rookie that we're going to go over, I got Labramon in here. This is way back from BT1. When an opponent's Digimon is deleted by dropping to 0 DP, trigger, draw one. I keep talking about the consistency of this deck and why it's so important. It's very important because drawing into your option cards is super important, as well as just all these other pieces, because you kind of burn through your resources really fast in this deck. So replenishing those hand resources is very important. So I've got multiple cards in here to help boost our consistency for that very reason. Our first Renamon here, and actually the only Renamon in here, because this is the one that actually works with the deck. Previous Renamons didn't really benefit from the strategy, so we just have the one new one here, and this is our searcher for the deck. So on play, reveal 4, you can add one of its Evo Chain and one of its Tamers, so one Rika as well, and then put everything else to the bottom. And then the inheritable here of same with the Viximon, but a little bit different. When you use an option card with a cost of 2 or more, gain 1 memory. So essentially you just gain. So if you use these option cards for free, like the strategy goes for, you actually gain memory instead of paying memory for your option cards. So you draw cards as well as gaining memory because of your Renamons here. Very powerful. I don't know what else to say. It just kind of helps keep your turns going and going and going. Like, if you saw our feature match with this deck, the consistency is really crazy, but the combos, like this combo-centric deck just feels absolutely mind-blowing of how, like, just your turn can go and go and go and go because all the crazy stuff you can do. And then next, I do have the Patamon in here. So this is similar to the Labramon, but when an opponent's Digimon is deleted by dropping to 0 DP, you gain 1 memory instead. So a lot of people are familiar with this Patamon. It combos really nicely with the Rapidmon that we've got in the deck also. So yeah, both are fantastic cards, Labramon and Patamon. We have multiple ways to DP minus in this deck, so I really like to include them. And we just have the 12 rookies. It's a little bit lower, I know, but the deck is surprisingly tight. I could drop a few things here and there, such as like our Tamers down here at the end, like the TK and Kari. I could drop those in for 2 more, but nothing else really felt like it benefited that much into the deck. If you're missing a rookie that you really think pops off in this deck, definitely put it in the comments section. Now for our level 4s here, first up I've got Patamon. Mainly this is in here because it's a 1-cost Evo. You kind of want to turbo into your level 5s very quickly and then into your level 6s shortly after that. So I think the 1 Evo cost really made sense here, and it just happens to be a blocker also to possibly give you some benefit. There's a couple decks in the format that like to get a couple like cheeky extra hits in. Looking at like D-Reaper, you know, they'll have like their feet cards and bubbles also that they like to just like swing into security once they use their on-play effects. So a simple blocker kind of slows that down a little bit. Looking at the Viximon decks, they always like to crash their Impmons as well as their level 4s, like their Dobermons and their Eismon. They like to crash those into security as much as possible. So just throwing out a blocker there, like early game, like let me use my Renamon search and then Evo a Patamon on top of my Renamon to pass turn, just to kind of slow my opponent down. I'm all about it. So got the 4 Patamons in here, 1-cost Evo, and just happens to be a blocker for those niche situations. Next, we got the new Cubimon here. This is from EX2. This works fantastically with the deck. So when Digivolving, reveal the top 3 cards of your deck, add 1 option card to plug in its name to your hand. This just helps us search out, so you use your Renamon to search out your Evo line, whatever you're missing in your hand that you don't have part of your Evo chain, and your Tamer, and then next you go into the Cubimon, and then that's going to make sure that you get your option card. If you already have an option card in your hand, you know, you can go with something else instead of the Cubimon, but if you don't have any options, definitely is a good time to Evo into your Cubimon and start searching. So it's like everything just feels like it's jumping 2 steps ahead every single time. Feels very, very powerful, just being able to do so much so rapidly for so memory efficient. And then we have our first inheritable of when you use an option card with a cost of 2 or more, one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 2,000 DP for the turn. Lots of stuff in this format is like 1,000, 2,000 DP, like all these searchers and stuff that all these EX2 decks have. Even Searcher itself in D-Reaper, like there's so much that you can delete so easily this format with just a simple -2 that it feels really good when you start really stacking up all the DP minusing that this deck can do. You can like stagger it, and it feels really, really good when you can do something like that. So I really like how this deck performs. And then I've got 3 Rapidmon in here. This is one of those I was talking about. I just like to shoehorn it in here. You Evo it for 4. If you go on top of Patamon and you delete something, you know, it's kind of like Evoing it for 3. Or you can trigger your Labramon and draw a card, right? So you Evo it and you essentially get a draw 2 for Evoing it. It's a powerful card. I think it's the most powerful card in all of BT8. Out of everything we got in BT8, I think Rapidmon was probably the strongest. I know it's a little bit more simple, but just suspend one of your opponent's Digimon for each Tamer you have in play. Like, that's pretty good. Like, you can just clear stuff like a blocker or, you know, a Mega that's just in your way when you're trying to punch for game, and there's a huge blocker in your way. You just use Rapidmon to suspend it and then swing. Like, that's really great. But then up to 3 of your opponent's Digimon, opponent's suspended Digimon get minus 5,000 DP for the turn. That's also super powerful because you can take anything and lower it into killable range, basically, for your Rapidmon here. So then Rapidmon being able to swing over anything 10,000 DP or less, or crash with anything at 11,000 DP. And remember, it has Armor Purge, so even if you crash, you still keep your level 3 Digimon underneath it on field. Yeah, Rapidmon feels really good. So I just went with a 3 of it. It's like not overly needed for the strategy by any means, but it's such a powerful card for purple. And just like we had the space for it for our level 4 slots, I could have gone with an older Cubimon, but the older Cubimon just didn't feel that powerful compared to, you know, something like Rapidmon, which is really, really powerful. It's just not, doesn't perform necessarily with the rest of the deck. It's just good on its own. So I think out of all my choices that I could have gone with for a 3 of, this one really fit the bill pretty solidly. Now for our level 5s, first up we got Talmon, and this card is so good. When Digivolving, you may play one Rika from your hand without paying its memory cost. Just instantly get to play a Memory Fixer 4 play cost for free, and then if it's still your turn, you can still use your Rika abilities. Oh my god, this Talmon is so perfect for this strategy here, being able to play it. So it's like your Renamon searches your Evo chain and your Rika, your Cubimon, make sure you get those plugins in play. And then you can use your Talmon to just play the Rika for free that you searched off with the Renamon. Like, everything just feels like I'm doing one thing, but I'm getting so much more further ahead than my opponent just by doing a single play. Like, my single plays feel like I'm doing 2 plays at once. So really like that. And then has the same inheritable here of the Cubimon of when you use an option card with a cost of 2 or more, one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 2,000 DP for the turn. So you combine that with the Cubimon, that's a minus 4k, or 2 things get minus 2k. Like I said, there's lots of 1,000, 2,000 DP Digimon in this format. So being able to pop those in multiples in like one go, really, really strong. Now, I do also have Rise Greymon in here as well, because it's almost the same thing as Talmon here. When Digivolving, you can play one of your yellow tamers from your hand without paying its memory cost. You don't get any on-play effects, but that's okay, because neither of the tamers we're playing have on-play effects. So essentially, this is just another copy of Talmon. Now, where this does differ, though, and it's slightly not as good as Talmon, is because when you use your Rika, Rika specifically says when you attack with a Digimon in like her Digimon's Evo chain. So it's got to be Renamon, Cubimon, Talmon, Sakuyamon. It's got to be one of those. So if you attack with Rise Greymon, you know, you're not going to get that benefit of the Rika, but still being able to get a Rika in play and then Digivolving into a Sakuyamon, you know, that's still pretty solid. So it's like having a second, slightly lesser version of Talmon. But also has the inheritable of while you have 3 or more yellow tamers in play, this Digimon gains security attack +1. So with both of our level 5s just being super simple, hey, play a tamer, yeah, I can get 3 tamers in play in this deck not that difficultly. Like, honestly, every time I evo into a level 5, I'm going to be slamming down a tamer in play. So getting this inheritable live is actually pretty easy. So I really, really dig it. I think it works perfectly with this deck. Next up, we have the old Sakuyamon from BT5. 3 Evo cost here. Opponent's turn. When an opponent's Digimon moves from breeding area to battle area, it gains security attack -3. I think this is actually a pretty good card in general. Especially, I think it was a really good tech in BT8. You know, dealing with something like Imperial. You know, they were going to promote that XVmon out, and that XVmon's going to get a free check on you, and then it's going to DNA, all that jazz. But just turning off that, and then looking at something like X Antibody, right? Alphamon, being able to turn Alphamon off from being able to promote up. Same with like Doragoromon, both of those X Antibody decks shuts that down. Red Hybrid's been pretty popular here lately, so every time they go up all the way up into their Ancient and they want to swing with their Ancient, you know, your Sakuyamon's just going to like turn that Ancient like halfway down on its power level. So I think this is a really cool tech card. It is our only other Sakuyamon, but we really want the name Sakuyamon, so that way we can use our Rika ability. You could use another Yellow Mega here, but I really feel like using a Sakuyamon to benefit from the Rika ability is the way to go. And then your turn, all your opponent's secure Digimon get -3,000 DP. So if you don't want to use something like the jamming option here, you know, you can go for the offensive plug-in here. Give yourself security attack +1. If you're on top of the Rise Greymon, you know, you got another security attack. Swing in with this Sakuyamon, and all your opponent's Digimons or secure Digimon are -3,000. You know, really, really easy to survive those security checks, especially in this format. There's a couple 15k out there, but not like a ton. It's all like relatively, you know, 13 to 11,000 DP, and so with Sakuyamon turning all those down to like 9,000 or below, she has nothing to worry about. So swinging in for a nice hefty 3 security checks feels pretty good. Next, though, is the Star Sakuyamon of the deck. This is the new one from EX2. When Digivolving, unsuspend one of your Digimon, and for each tamer you have in play, return 1 option card with plug-in in its name from your trash to your hand. So a big strategy is to Evo into Talmon, play out a Rika, swing with your Talmon. So suspend your Talmon to attack, use your Rika ability to use the green option. The green option is going to let you Digivolve into Sakuyamon for free, and then as soon as you Digivolve, you use her when Digivolving ability to unsuspend herself. Before the attack actually goes through with the Talmon, she's evoing into Sakuyamon for free, unsuspending herself so she can swing again. Oh man, that's so good. Especially again, you use it with like the offensive plugin as well. If you have like multiple Rikas in play, you use multiple Rikas to get more and more options to trigger. And then so now you're swinging in for 2 checks 2 times with this Sakuyamon. And then you're cycling back those option cards. So keep that in mind. You're going to keep cycling these option cards back and keep using them over and over. So our option count can actually be a little bit lower in this deck because our Sakuyamons here, our main mega of the deck, just adds them back to hand. So once you get 1 in rotation, you're pretty much set after that because you're just going to keep recycling them back. And then your turn, when you use an option card with a cost of 2 or more, one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 3,000 DP for the turn. So same with our Cubimon and our Talmon inheritables, but this one's 3k instead of 2k. So now we're deleting, something 7,000 DP or less, or multiple things on the field. So really, really powerful. Works perfectly with the deck. Really dig it. Now for our first of our option cards, I went with 3 copies of the plug-in S. This is the Digivolution one. I think it's more important than most of them, simply because you want to swing with Talmon and Evo Talmon for free. So main, draw 1, then you may Digivolve one of your Digimon into a Digimon card in your hand that can Digivolve for a Digivolution cost of 3 or less without paying its Digivolution cost. Now keep in mind, it's saying that you can ignore the Digivolution cost. Okay, you don't have to pay the Digivolution cost, but you still have to meet the Digivolution requirements. So if it's if you have a level 6 in your hand and it's set in the little bubble here, right? It's gonna say level 5, right? You still have to meet this requirement for Digivolving. You just don't have to pay the cost to Digivolve, but you have to meet the color and level requirements. Some people are very confused about that. Not the case. You can only do it with without paying the Digivolution cost. I can words. You still have to, though, meet all the other requirements. Still an insanely powerful card. Again, you're playing these cards for free with Rika. Rika's ability is letting you play these option cards for free. Now, security effect is actually still pretty nice. Reveal the top 3 cards of your deck, add 1 Digimon card among them to your hand, place the remaining cards from the bottom of the deck in any order, and then add this card to hand. I love these because the plugins, because they add to hand. They get the really nice effect off of them, and then they immediately add to hand afterwards. So good. And then I did skip over it, but if you have a Tamer in play, you can use this card without meeting its color requirements. So that's why we have all these different colors in here and in a yellow deck, right? Because we can use Rika to play them because Rika is a Tamer, and so her ability lets you use the option cards for free, and then you don't have to meet the color requirements for these. So it's built literally for this deck. These plugins are perfect in this deck. Now I've got 2 of the jamming ones here. So one of your Digimon gains jamming and can't be blocked. You can get really cheeky with this if your opponent doesn't know you have it. I've done some interesting plays where it's like I swing in with something that like the lesser of 2 Digimon. Like my opponent really wants to delete this 1 Digimon, so I'm going to swing in with this other Digimon first because it's like, oh, it's bait. It's like, I know you don't want to block this one. You want to block this one here. So I'm going to swing in with this one that you don't want to block. Oh, you let that one go through? Okay, well, now I'm going to use the high speed plugin and attack, and you can't block me with my second attack that you really did want to block. So a super cheeky plays that you can do with this. And then security, just draw 1, then add this card to your hand. Pretty solid little card there. I really dig it. Just two of these in here. It's not like overly necessary. It's nice, here and there. Making your Sakuyamon game jamming, not too bad. There has been plenty of times where I've swung in with Sakuyamon and she died in security. So maybe jamming, not all that bad. And then we got the red one here, which is Security Attack +1. This is kind of crazy because this card, you can just throw this into any deck ever. As long as that deck runs Tamers, you can just toss this card in there. So certain strategies that can swing multiple times with a Digimon, just being able to throw this card randomly into their strategy feels kind of scary. Like, honestly, that's pretty wild that any deck now can have a Security Attack +1 option card. And for only 2 costs, that's not that bad. Security Effect reveal the top 3 cards of your deck, add 1 Tamer card among them to your hand, place the remaining cards on the bottom of your deck in order, then add this card to your hand. So it's very important to get Tamers in play. To be able to use cards like this, you need a Tamer in play, right? So having the security effect, making sure that you get that Tamer in hand so you can use this option card, I think is a very, very nicely built strategy, honestly. Like, the security effects on these make perfect sense for each of them. I really like the design of it. Next, we do have the Rika here, our memory fixer for the deck. Very much needed memory fixer. I'm so glad that this actually is a memory fixer because of the fact that this deck requires a memory fixer. Like, unbelievably, you need a memory fixer in this deck. So if I had to run like a TK or a Kari and a Rika, that would feel a little bit of a shame. But because Rika is a memory fixer, like, totally golden. Like, I can run multiple Rikas, 4 Rikas, and I don't even care because one, I get to play her for free so easily with both of our level 5s, and then her effect here is so bananas. When you attack with a Digimon with Renamon, Cubimon, Talmon, or Sakuyamon in its name, you may suspend this Tamer to use 1 option card with plug-in in its name from your hand without paying its memory cost. So that's really great, especially if you have multiple Rikas in play. So you can suspend the first one and play something like, I don't know, like the high speed one here, and then you can play another one, and then you get security attack +1. You can suspend another one, and then Digivolve, right? Especially if you want to draw first. So just play this one, draw, then Digivolve, draw for Evo, and now if you draw into more option cards, you can suspend another Rika to play your next option card, and it's one at a time. Okay, so remember that you suspend 1 Rika, resolve it, and then if you want to suspend another Rika, you can resolve it. So you don't have to, like, okay, I'm going to suspend 3 Rikas, pray that I draw into more option cards. Or yeah, so you don't have to suspend them all at once. You can do them one at a time and play them out. So if you keep drawing into more plugins, you can keep using another Rika after that. So multiple Rikas in play makes a ton of sense. One of the first times that having multiple memory fixers on field actually makes sense, aside from something like Tai giving security attack +1, or Kari gaining you memory when you heal. This Rika is another one of those that's like, oh yeah, multiple Rikas in field makes sense. And then I just kind of tossed the TK and Karis in here. We don't really do any recovery in this deck, so having your security get low is kind of a thing that could happen relatively easily, especially in certain matchups where your opponent's like, oh yeah, I'll just go ahead and swing in. I don't mind. And then you just throw out a TK and Kari, and boom, now for almost the rest of the game, you're going to just be gaining free memory because your opponent, checked a single security super early in the game. Also, if you don't draw into the Rika here and you go into a Rise Greymon, this gives you another target to play off your Rise Greymon for free. Again, you don't get on-play effects, so I wanted to pick something that didn't have an on-play effect, but also this does a DP minus, so when you attack with a yellow Digimon, you can suspend this Tamer to have one of your opponent's Digimon get -7,000 or -1,000 DP. So you're going to combine that with your Talmon, Cubimon, and Sakuyamon, and it just makes it a little bit better, just a little bit better. Every time you just get to add a little bit more. You get multiple TK and Karis in field, that's going to be another -1,000. So now you're up to -9,000 on something in total. Feels pretty solid in general. I think it's a great little addition. Now, it's a flex spot for sure. You could drop it in favor of something else. Like I said, you could add more of your rookies if you want to add a different yellow Tamer. Some people were talking about running Cody, but my issue with Cody is you can't use its DP minus ability. You will probably get the plus on the memory boot or plus memory a little bit easier because you just need a yellow in play to get that one. But the TK and Kari having 2 different uses, yeah, I can gain memory off them, or I can do the DP minusing. Also, my memory gain is actually better than Cody, and considering I'm not doing any recovery in this deck, having low security is very easy to obtain, whether you mean to or not. So yeah, the TK and Kari just kind of fit a little bit better than Cody, in my opinion. If you don't agree, definitely let me know what you don't agree about the Cody. Why you think Cody might be better? I'm definitely curious. I just think the TK and Kari is slightly better. And that's the total of the deck. I think the combos are so insane. If you, like I said, if you watch the feature match, if you haven't already, at least go and watch the first one. I think I'm going to have 2 games in that one. Go watch that first one because the Sakuyamon deck just pops off and just has this unbelievable turn of just being able to do one thing after another after another. It's so crazy. Just I started my turn with a level 4, and then by the end of it, I had Rika and then a Mega, and my opponent lost like half their field and half their security, like from me just having a level 4 and raising area. Like, that's some serious control, some serious damage, some serious board setup. Feels very powerful. I just really like this deck. I think it's a ton of fun, and I can't wait because it gets even better. Once we get Miko mode, Miko mode is so wild. We'll drop the old Sakuyamon for the Miko mode, and that Miko mode is so good. Also, probably the best art I've ever seen in this game is on both Miko modes. Are absolutely stunning cards. Cannot wait to play this deck with those.